Hey, good evening, everyone. It's my name's John Cleves. Those of you who don't know me, and I'm the lead designer here at DGS Games. And this is our first of many discussions about the world of Faelon and how you navigate it, what you can find in it, what kind of things it helps you do in the play of the games that we make that are set in the world of Faelon, and understanding the lore that takes place. That talks about what's going on with the background, the characters in it, the locations, the factions, the countries, etc. And so you access the world of Faelon through a platform called World Anvil, and you get that access. You get free access to the world of Faelon just by signing up to World Anvil, finding Faelon as one of the worlds that are available. It is a platform designed to do world building for role-playing games primarily, but we found it extremely useful for a lot of other functions, and it supports both our skirmish game, Free Blades, and our role-playing game, Bright Sword, together, because they're all the things we're going to make with this, that are in our fantasy series at least, are going to be set in this world, and this is how you dive into it, how you learn who's who and why things are the way they are, and enhance your gameplay experience. So in order to access more than just the basic level, you have to get that through our Patreon. And there are a couple different levels of access. I'm going to talk about those real quick. What you're seeing in the live stream is the basic World of Faelon page. I'm going to take you through that. But to get here, you are either coming in and joining the World of Faelon as one of your worlds if you're in World Anvil, and you get all the free access just by doing that. You don't have to pay for anything. You don't have to sign into anything else. You can just go search Faelon and World Anvil and then add it to your world. And that gives you all the basic information about all the factions and several other things besides. There are some functions that help support Free Blades play, the game of the skirmish game, Free Blades specifically, that you also get without subscribing to anything by owning the Free Blades Living Rulebook. And that, how to get that level of access, is an instruction that's on our website, where you go to buy the rulebook and where you go to download it. And so if you have a Living Rulebook and you are in your account and you're where you download your Living Rulebook, there are instructions there to gain a slightly higher level of access. It enhances your Free Blades play experience here in World Anvil through that. If you want to be a monthly subscriber, and right now there are 2 levels of access. There are monthly subscriptions. There are 2 more planned. We'll talk about that later. We'll talk about the 2 that are currently active and what you get with each one as part of this evening to kind of show you this. And that is the Bladesworn level, which is through Patreon. I'll show you that Patreon page here as part of the discussion. And how you get that access, and the Lore Master level. And both of those open up. Each succeeding level opens up and unlocks more and more information depending on what level of enhancement of your experience you want, what role you play in your game group. Are you the person that's jumping into Free Blades as a skirmish game, or are you the person who's always running the campaigns and needs a lot more resources because you're going to be setting up link scenarios and link battles and link things? Are you a game master for Bright Sword? Those kinds of questions help you figure out what level of access is best for you. And part of what we're doing tonight is helping you with that. So the main Faelon page is the same for everybody. Mine is set up at the admin level, so I've got some functionality on here people won't see, but I want to show you the most. And if you get some glimpses into some things you currently don't have access to, that is totally okay, because we want to show you what the things are possible. There's our games, a text description. One of the challenges we have now is this look the best on a small screen mobile device, like just a typical phone. This will not look the greatest. Some text will overlay over the top of these buttons. They will still be live, but it's not the best presentation, and one of our immediate initiatives is to get that cleaned up. I'm looking at this and sharing it with you on a computer monitor. It also looks like this to me when I'm on a good-sized tablet, a 10-inch or greater screen tablet. It's just a smaller mobile device. This won't look the best. That is not you. It's us. It's not you. It's me. But we will get it fixed. And we have some people helping us get that done. World Anvil wasn't built to be accessed on a small mobile device, but the people in charge of World Anvil are super, super responsive to the community. And when we give them things that we would like to see in functionality, collectively, all of us, not just DGS, that work through World Anvil as storytellers, they are absolutely responsive and just knock them off one at a time as they come to them. Are really open to new ideas. One of the reasons we're here, one of the reasons we're on the World Anvil platform, visionary they are and how much they want to add and how much is constantly being added. Just the time that we have been associated with them a few months, they have added significant capabilities to the platform, and as more is planned, we'll hint at some of that along. So if you are the homepage of the World of Faelon, the primary navigator to get around to the things that are here is this set of book covers. Before I go to one, I'm going to drop down a little bit on the. There are also some other elements here. The World Codex is another way to get around to most commonly used folder that people that will change from time to time based on what's popular. And then the two big maps, the overall map of Faelon, and then a map of Faelon with a hex overlay, where the hexes are numbered to assist people who are going to run a map-based campaign, and that will also grow. We have some ideas about how to suggest its use, but there are also just players out there and game masters out there who just want it because they have a plan for their own game group, and they want to be able to move from location to location and be able to record where people are, and that's what the hex grid allows, because there's both a standard movement rate and pattern to it. You can move like one hex a month in your campaign or whatever your campaign uses, and because they've got location data, I can say 49102, and everybody knows where that is, and so you can share that between remote locations. Some social media over on the right. You can get to us like where we are right now by clicking on the Discord. Obviously, if you're in here with us, you already know how that works. Then our Twitter feed. This is a recent update from at the Games DGS Twitter account. Then the history of Faelon and the history of DGS Games. This is some background into how Faelon was developed. We're going to add more and more to that, including the shockingly both embarrassing and very popular 1978 map of Falcar from my dining room table when I was a kid, which I would hide away forever, but everybody keeps telling me they want to see, so we're going to get that on there, and how we got to here from there, and then how the company developed for those people that are curious, which includes a running tally of the development of our models as an interesting way to view how we got to where we are today. But the primary navigator is here, and when you choose one of these buttons, it will take you to items in those categories for which you currently have the requisite access. You'll see something generally, but in some cases, some other level of access will see more than maybe I don't want to say lower, different level of access, because it's really about what experience you want and not whether one has more or less value than the other. One of the most popular and one of the easiest ways to tell what level that you are currently at, and one of the things that's going to change most regularly or be increased most regularly is campaigns. So we're going to start there. It's the center of the bottom. And there are two. Let me see if anybody can tell me if, one of you guys can tell me if you don't see the two campaigns that are currently loaded, the Fiend of the Forest and the Tomb of Akkad, and a table of contents link connector over on the left. And so these are the two active campaigns. You can't see the Tomb of Akkad if you don't have Lore Master access. So the reason why I see it here is because I have an admin account open with all the different levels to it. The Fiend of the Forest is there for everyone, and that is so that people can see what do I get? If I'm going to spend the money, the value that I get, and one of the primary, certainly not the only thing, but one of the primary things that differentiates level of access is access to campaigns and the tools that it gives you to play our different games in a more enhanced fashion, and a fashion is more linked to the background of the world. So we're going to go check out Fiends of the Forest first and show you what's in it. And you start with a region map, and the region map will show you in the overall map of Faelon where the action takes place. That symbol here in Central Haradel shows you that the Fiend of the Forest takes place centered on that location. Over on the right-hand side are the scenes that make up the campaign. In the one of the things that we changed today, and we're making changes, just in the first 36 hours, we made some significant changes. That's going to continue, basically for the rest of our lives. But we're going to get to some other examples of the differences between levels. Fiend of the Forest is an example. It's available to everyone to show you the power of the system and what you can do with it. But if you were at this level, at what we call now the Bladesworn level, when it opened, it was called Brightsword Player, and we changed to Bladesworn, which is a term from our background, because Brightsword Player was indicating to people it was only useful if you played Brightsword, and that is not true. We're going to show you why it's not true. So we decided to change the titles of the various access levels to something from the Faelon background and not link it to a particular game, because it's designed to work for all of them and to work to allow you to move characters and elements between games. If you want to make a Brightsword character, a Brightsword adventurer, and then take that adventurer and figure out what it would be worth in your Free Blades free band, that is coming. And we're not going to be able to move around in a campaign that well if the campaign isn't designed for both games. So I'll make that a little bit of that clearer as we go along. But what you will see here is the subplots, the scenes, and Fiend of the Forest is a campaign in 3 scenes: the Wagon Ambush, Clear Run Falls, and the Bandit Caverns. If you have the Bladesworn level, you will see what you see right here: the region map, the text that the story text, what's going on with the player characters, who the player characters are in the historical version of the campaign. And this is a 150 point free band, but or 150 gold free band, but you don't have to do it this way. You could be a different 150 gold free band or a different 150 AP Brightsword adventuring party. Either way. Okay, so if you want to play it out with the Free Blades rules, completely compatible with that. If you want to play it out with Brightswords or Brightsword Game Master, also completely compatible. You can play it out the way it played out, quote unquote, historically, or you can change it up and use the framework of the campaign, but do it with whatever free band you want to do. So if you're at the Bladesworn level, you'll see all this. These individual stat blocks are the same as the corresponding character in Free Blades. If I were to click these talents, abilities over here, it would take me to their rules, just like the Living Rulebook does. And so that helps a newer campaign organizer, game master, get in here and get very quickly, get started very quickly. And then what we call the travel map, the discussion of what needs to happen out in the world in terms of gathering the adventuring party, gathering the free band, and identifying who's in it and finding out what the mission is happening at Barreleth Keep. And then the story to the ambush. After that scene, that encounter is run, you get clues that take you to Clear Run Falls and then to the caverns. So this travel map shows you that. If we didn't want the player to know what was going on here off in the distance, then this map would only be shown at the lore master level, and only the game master would have access. And then you can get to the scenes here by navigating these. You can get to the scenes by going to them in the sidebar links up here at the top. And I'm going to go back down. I know you're getting motion sickness. I'm going back down here again. You can also go to the first scene directly from an article by clicking on the next article link on the bottom. So if we were at, Clear Run Falls scene 2, scene 3 would be the right hand next article, and the scene 1 would be the left hand over here on the left hand side of the screen, the left hand previous article. And then a diagram of how the articles are connected is here at the bottom, with mouse overs on what's going on with the text at the top of each scene to kind of explain it. This is very simple. It's just a single campaign with 3 scenes, and they're linear. So the diagram is very simple. As we build this out, you'll see campaigns that get a lot more intricate and complex, and that will become more and more necessary. Back to the top again, over here on the right. If you're going to play the Fiend of the Forest out as a Free Blades campaign, free bands playing in the campaign would often have, most campaign organizers run their campaign such that each band has to choose who their patron is, and the patron provides a special rule, and these patrons are listed over here on the right. If you are to click on them, you will go to a Bladesworn level access page of their important information. This is a character known as Trader Zinvu. This is her basic physical information over here on the right. This is her special rule if she's a patron in a Free Blades campaign. She's in the category non-player characters. That's what this shows down here at the bottom. These names haven't changed yet, but this is basically the Bladesworn level and the Lore Master level. So that's what level of access you need to see Trader Zinvu. So you're not going to see her. If you have the Free Blades Living Rulebook, you need to be at the Bladesworn or Lore Master level to see the NPCs. And what's coming, what we're very happy to see, what's coming very soon, is character illustrations for all of the major NPCs in Faelon. The first 12 are being done as a set, and Zinvu is one of those first 12. And you could have navigated to her by searching on non-player characters under people. You could have gotten to her because she was a patron in one of the campaigns. So because it's a relational database, you get to this information a number of different ways. And so you can always get back to the home page by navigating from this link here at the top of a story or top of an article. This takes me back to the main World of Faelon page, and we will do some more exploring. So I'm going to do a little teaser on some of the other things that you get. Oh, well, first of all, okay, let's go back to Fiend of the Forest real quick first. Something I want to show you. Just want to show you about the, how this connects to being both for Brightsword players and for Free Blades players. So let's go to, say we're in the Fiend of the Forest campaign, and we will go to the second scene. Okay, this is a scene called Clear Run Falls. In the first scene, the free band gathers clues. Then they come to this encounter area. You'll notice it's laid out just like a 4x4 table surface with a 1-inch grid overlaid on it. So you can get a feel for how big things are. And if you want to get the terrain in your table close to this, roughly what would be, left of right of what, and what would be up and down from what. There's a falls in this stream, is a piece of high ground off to the eastern side of the map, and the free band enters the encounter from the western side. Okay, then we have the story that goes along with the scene. Things that you read as a game master to your players are in the call-out box, and then our suggested NPC enemies for the scene. What kind of loot might be available, and what kind of experience you get when the scene is the encounter is concluded. So you can play Clear Run Falls as a scene for a Brightsword adventure and not use the Blackthorn Bandits free band as your enemy. You could use anything that was roughly the same power against the same type of free band that was arriving in the scenario. The campaign generally gives you guidance on how strong your threat should be based on how strong your free band is. But the base, who's in the group of enemies and what they're doing and how they're disposed in the encounter area is all there for the game master to lay out. Fiend of the Forest was the originally planned demonstration campaign when DGS was originally founded, and we were going to be a role-playing company first, and the skirmish game was going to come later. And so one of the interesting pieces of DGS lore is that all the original models the company made were made for Fiend of the Forest as role-playing characters and not as elements in free bands in a competitive skirmish game. That plan changed midstream, but there were days way back in the past where we were putting Fiend of the Forest on at conventions as a role-playing adventure, and the models we were using were ones, the first set that we had made to support that. So when we decided to become a skirmish game company, I wasn't the boss. Well, everybody knows Julie's the boss, but I wasn't the boss then, and I got the mission, hey, take all the models that we made to be a role-playing game from these original demos, these original intro adventures, and make 4 factions out of them, which is why Herodel, Black Rose, Grular, and Trillius are the starter boxes are what they are, because those were the models that were available to us when we decided overnight, hey, we're going to be a skirmish game company, get those rules done in a few months. So exciting times, but kind of a tie back to DGS history. But the thing I brought you here to see is that up here on the top right, this subplot, when it says free blades, this is a free blade scenario, okay? Not a element of a campaign, but a one-on-one competitive scenario based on the Clear Run Falls encounter action. And if I go there, I get the standard scenario format. We suggest the same map, although it doesn't have to be exactly this way, but that's the way it happened, quote unquote, historically. But the scenario plays out somewhat like Advanced Guard, in that each side is trying to get information about the other, but in Advanced Guard, it's symmetrical. Both free bands are trying to gain information on 2 points on the encounter area opposite their table side. In this scenario, the free bandits coming to rescue the 2 girls that have been captured by the bandits are trying to gain information on the bandit cave entrance at the falls, but the bandits are trying to gain information on the free band. So it's not symmetrical in terms of how easy it is to get recon points and what your recon point goal to win is. But all the standard elements of a free blade scenario are here. Train placement, objective, deployment, the special rules are all in this central piece of text. And then over here on the right, how the game ends, how you determine a winner, how many victory points are tallied to get to a winner. And over here in the bottom right, the campaign results if you were using the scenario as part of a Free Blades campaign. And this is going to be typical. We intend that among all the other things that we are going to add to the world of Faelon all the time, every month we are going to add either a brand new campaign or we are going to expand on with additional scenes an existing campaign. And so the currently available Lore Master level campaign that you're getting for the month of July 2020 at the Lore Master level, the $9 level, is Tomb of Akkad. It will be a different campaign will be added at that level in August, and another campaign in September, and et cetera. And sometimes it won't be brand new where it's a completely new campaign. It will be an add-on to an already existing one. And they will come with how to play these things out as free blade scenarios as well. And so signing up for the Bladesworn or Lore Master level does not mean you're just signing up for information only to play Brightsword. It is for both games. You can play this as a Free Blades campaign. You can play this as a Free Blades Encounters campaign. You can play it as a Brightsword campaign. You can play the individual scenarios as one-on-one Free Blades scenarios. And the intent will be that all those modes of play will be true of all the campaigns that we post in the future. So that's the number one thing that I wanted to show people. One, I wanted to show them that we're not. The world of Faelon is for all of our gamers and not just role players. Certainly, that's absolutely not the intent. And maybe the two levels being called Brightsword Player and Brightsword Game Master might have been misleading. I've had that conversation a couple times today with some of our players. But the we also had some navigational challenges. We want to make sure everybody could get around and find things somewhere, whatever they're looking for. As they start clicking around, they're going to be moving through all the different links and finding what's connected to what. You can get to an NPC by finding her as a patron. You can get to an NPC as finding her as part of people. You could get to her as finding her because she resides in a location and you're at the location article. You'll find the people that live there starting to populate over on the sidebar and be able to go to their links that way. There are currently 529 articles loaded into World Anvil, ranging from a few hundred words to a few thousand words in terms of their size, of all the different types you see when you go to the Faelon homepage and look at the book covers, the navigation book covers. Races, religions, organizations. Organizations includes the countries. We'll go there in a second. Organizations includes those factions that are not countries. Countries includes all the ones that are countries. The individual people. The magic items is going to increase over time. There's going to be a lot more powerful ones than the ones in the Free Blades Living Rulebook. There's 60 items that are in the 2 magic item tables. There are going to be some that are more powerful than those, but less powerful than artifacts. There's going to be additional artifacts added all the time that you can incorporate into your campaigns. They'll be in there as just a magic item for you to use any way you want. They'll be in there linked to the campaign scene that they come from a quote-unquote historical standpoint, etc. Now, one of the challenges we have right now is that we decided as a company not to wait until this was perfect. That the longer we waited, there was so much material to input into our world that if we waited and even until we got to where it was at the 50% level, we'd be making our players wait too long to get to the basic level of access on the factions, religions, races, and other key background, just to understand the world in a basic sense that you don't have to pay for, was going to wait because we're trying to get the other end of it perfect. So we decided to do a tiered release instead, where we went live with the basic level and Free Blades Living Rulebook level on June 24th. We went live with the Bladesworn and Lore Master levels as part of Patreon on July 1st. And then Free Blades Elite and World Builder will come somewhat later. There are places you can go in here, and I'm going to try to find you an example where you're going to run into a dead end. And you might run into a dead end because you don't have access, and you might run into a dead end because that article has not been loaded into the machine yet, regardless of the access level that it has. And so there's way more tags, places to go, links that have articles that are currently unfilled, especially when it comes to locations, individual locations, than there are that are filled out. So if I go to Falcar as a nation, and there's a lot of information here. There's information about the population, the different baronies, the heraldry. There is an interactive map with tags of certain locations. If you were to go to that map and try to reach, for example, the town of Charlotte, and I tried to go there, it's empty. Okay, it didn't take you to I'm sorry you don't have access page. it took you to a page that didn't have any information in it. That's because the information from Charlotte isn't loaded yet. If you don't have access to that and it is available, then you're going to get a page that shows you the cover of the Brightsword Rulebook and tells you that you don't have access at the subscription level you currently reside. And so you're going to find a lot of links that look like this because that place has not been done. And one of the things we want our players to tell us is, what priority do you want us to load information in? What's the most important thing or things to you? And there's going to be polls through Patreon that ask those questions. So should we be focusing on all of the locations related to a specific campaign? Should I be giving you all the capitals of all the nations? Should we be giving you more NPCs? What is the focus? Because we can go a number of different directions. It will eventually all get done. All we're looking for is for our players to tell us, what is important to you in terms of the order that we do it in. And so we just don't want people to be spooked by following a link and getting an empty town. Nothing you did wrong. Charlotte's a small town in the center of the Kingdom of Falkar, has not been fleshed out yet. And you're going to find those. You bump into another one. You're in. You have the Bladesworn, the $3 level access from Patreon, and you're in the Tomb of Ixchad campaign, and you go to look at one of the individual scenes. That takes Lore Master access because it's intended for those people who are going to run the campaign, or whether they run it or not, just want that level of depth in their play of the game. Okay, so those are the things I wanted to show you about the world of Faelon. Very quickly, I'm just going to take you over to Patreon to show you what that, those people that don't know how that access happens. Let me just change up here. Okay, this is my trial membership. My obviously all of us at the company have a top level access because we're working on loading all the different databases and working on Patreon. But this is what it would look like if you were a person who had Lore Master access to the world of Faelon through Patreon. Patreon provides this other functionality and controls the subscriptions. Okay, so if I went in and signed up for the Lore Master level, this is what my level would look like, and it gives me important messaging about how to sign up, what the Lore Master level gives me. We'll talk about that in just a second. And anything where we want to talk back and forth, Patreon allows us to communicate with these subscribers directly here using this functionality on direct messaging. So if you are not currently a subscriber, if you don't have access to the Bladesworn level or Lore Master level, this is where you go get it. There's a World of Faelon tab on the top of our site, dgsgames.com, that takes you through the entire process of how to get into World Anvil and how to get access to the subscriber level. So just, you don't have to remember anything I'm telling you. You just go to the website, go to that tab on World of Faelon, and it will walk you through. Each level gives you everything at the level below it. So if you have Lore Master, you've got everything at Bladesworn. If you get Faelon Elite, you'll have everything that's at Lore Master when that becomes available. Okay? So that's what we wanted to talk to you about. Now I'd like to go back real quick and talk to you about what's coming in the future. Matt Gooch, have there been any questions I need to answer before we change the subject just a little bit? Okay, so we're going to carry on here. So let's talk about the kinds of things that are coming. One of the principal items that's coming in the future, of course, is additional campaigns. One per month, either a brand new one or an expansion on a previous one. So you can always count on that being something that you get. But all of these areas will grow. More NPCs will fill the people section that talks about who is who in the world of Faelon. The basic information will be available to the Bladesworn level, and which includes their character illustration, but their statistics, in-game statistics, will be a lore master thing, because that would be for those people who want to play, who want to serve as game masters or campaign organizers and want to keep that information from their players. It's just like any role-playing supplement, any product like that. There's always a read this to your players, don't read past this point unless you're a game master, because you want that to be revealed during the course of the adventure or campaign. And so that's where that split comes. More and more people are going to be added. The 12 big NPCs that are in there now don't have their stats in there. That's going to be added. The stories of Faelon is going to grow and grow and grow with more and more fiction that talks about different things happening in the world. The information on races is fairly complete, because the races are what they are that are on the current map. Once we start showing you the rest of the southern continent of the Trazerite Empire, and once we start showing you what is to the east and west of the two main continents that you see now on the map, more races are going to appear in the race section. But right now, it's the same we all know and love. Definitely more and more creatures are going to be added to the creature section. Free bands give you the detail, the different free bands as they play in free blades. The way free blades players, know and love them. The different models that are in the free band, and their statistics can also be found here, as well as in the living rule. And that allows a campaign organizer, a campaign, or a game master to go get these and have them serve as NPCs in a campaign, as well as your free band if you're playing free blade straight up. The individual models that we make have their own entries with all that information, who they can be, what free bands can they be part of. Their talents all have links to the discussion of a talent or the skill, so that you can look at that the same way you do in the living rule book. There is a link that shows you the model in the store. So if you're a newer player and you haven't encountered this model before, you can go get yourself one, which is always really important. All of their skills, and sometimes in the cases of the model, it will have a piece of fiction or background element as part of their description. And so you can go take a look at that. Another thing that will happen, these stat blocks will serve game masters that are going to be running their games through World Anvil. World Anvil is working on a functionality that is similar to, in fact, I think the plan is it's going to be better than Roll20, called Virtual Tabletop, where I'll be able to play with part of or all of my role-playing party in remote locations, and they'll be able to interact on the same in a virtual way. And things like MAR and RAR and some skill ratings will be live, where they can roll the die, including having it spike if it's for a test, or the spikes. And so that functionality will be there for game masters in the future, so they can just tell their player, hey, roll MAR, and I can click on that, and we can both see the result. And then determine what happened in the scene based on how the test played out when it was resolved. And so, everything's linked to everything. That's the intent. You can be able to go around in here and maneuver through what's happening with the background, the world, any different way that you want to, any way that serves your needs the best. The different kinds of magic are listed on here, and eventually what will happen right now, just through the first 3 levels, Novice, Apprentice, and Initiate, which is the spell levels from which Free Blades starting casters can get their spells. Once these are fleshed out a little bit, if you're playing, whether you're playing a Bright Sword campaign or a Free Blades campaign, a caster will be able to get access to spells not on their spell list, the starting spell list, and access to additional spell lists from their kind of magic as they become available. So this is also not just Brightsword. If I go looking into that's a problem. There we go. If I go looking into one of the types of spirit magic, I have the 3 levels of spells of necromancy, and I'm going to start as a game master seeing all the different spells that become available at the levels beyond this. There are 9 levels of spells per type of magic. We're showing you the first 3. A Free Blades caster's 9 spell list is being drawn from these 3, and this would allow campaign organizers and players to switch out spell slots. If I have a 2-level spell in my spell list, and I have Bone Thrall, summon a Bone Thrall, and I would rather have Deathly Chill, campaign organizers can let their players switch those out. If I want to add to my 9 spells, I can go get them from these different 3 lists, and then even further on in the campaign, I can an advance on getting additional spell lists from the other 6, Practitioner and Journeyman and Adept, Master, Grandmaster, and Lord. So there's 9 levels of spells, and you're only seeing 3. As those get added, they will show up here. Notification will go to Discord. Mr. Gooch will talk about it on all our different social media, and you'll be able to go in and access that the complete list and be able to use it any way you want to in your games. So there's a reason to be, multiple reasons to be either Bladesworn or Lore Master level if you never play a single game of Brightsword in your entire life. I just want to make sure everybody understood that. I think that messaging did not come off perfectly as we kicked off. And that is the extent of what I wanted to show people. We really didn't intend to go past an hour. We left another 15 minutes in case there were questions on the text channel. But we will, I'll double check with Mr. Gooch, see if there are any questions. And if there aren't, if he or my teammates can think of anything that we want to add, well, we still have another 15 minutes to go. Matt or Jen, anything we want to add to this? Matt Gooch, if you're transmitting, I can't hear you, buddy. Matt Budney, can you hear me?
Yeah, John, he's talking.
Let me try that again. Matt or Jen, can you hear me?
We can hear you. You can't seem to hear us.
Okay, whatever was going on is fixed because I was not hearing you. So, all right, so that was messed up. So, let me ask again: is there anything from the text channel, or anybody wants to ask or add at this point? Now that whatever glitch I had is gone. Okay. Anything you think I didn't cover? You'd like to see covered?
You generally covered it, but maybe slightly more specific. If you're a game master and you're logging in at the first of the month, what can you expect to see, and how much easier is it going to make it to, make your encounter for your group?
Well, I'm not sure we're saying that the new campaign is going to go live exactly on the first of every month. I'm not sure we want to promise that. But what we need to do, because we've already, just in the first 36 hours, we've added several articles. We've added different links and organizational ways to navigate. That's going to be constant. We're always going to be seeking to improve. Players are going to give us feedback. And we are going to take that feedback and implement, each thing as we can, as fast as we can. And so we have got a stack of articles to add that I don't think it will ever end, And so they can look into the World Anvil Updates channel on Discord to see the latest things that have been posted. We are going to push that out on our social media when we add information. So I'd have to think about whether we're going to say the next campaign goes live on 1 August, but it will go live as close to 1 August as we can make it. And so the next thing that's going to happen is, major thing that's going to happen is a new campaign will go live in August. Character illustrations will pop for the NPCs. We are working on the practitioner level spells for all the different kinds of magic. What else? Matt, help me out on what else is on the list. Everything's on the list. I mean, that's one of the things we want people to tell us is where to put our focus. But okay. I know. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and that just spurs up a thought I had. That was really good, Matt. But also, let me add that as a good example. Really, it's a story the game master wants to tell. We're going to give them a basic way to do it. We expect them to tinker with it and adapt it to their style of play in their game group. But they got to get a start point. And so one of the basic enemies in the Tomb of Akkad is a creature called a Cryjan Revenant, a type of undead that is a holdover from when the Ruby Empire held that ground before it was taken from them by the Trezorites. And so that stat line is available to the lore master level, and we are not limiting ourselves solely to models we currently make in terms of providing stat lines to game masters for their campaigns. Now, you can make a pretty decent conversion of a Cryjan Revenant, and we recommend how to do that. There are also bad guys in that campaign that are undead Trezorites that can just be Trezorite models painted as undead, and their stats, or the way to convert them from a stat standpoint, is also something that's available to that game master. So when a campaign goes live, each of his scenes will have the recommended threat for that scene, if there is one, if it's not just interaction. And often those will be new entries in the bestiary, and not necessarily in any way limited only to the current catalog of DGS models. Obviously, we're going to, from a business standpoint, we're going to want to try to, encourage conversions and the use of stuff we make. But we don't want the game master playing a role-playing game to be limited to only that and nothing else. That won't be the story. So that is an example of something. When we do, I know the campaign I'm working on for September has things in it that are stat lines that are nowhere else in the game right now, that will only be available through that level at World Anvil, and will be connected to those scenes, but will also be something somebody can just put into their campaign any way they want. It doesn't have to be only when you run the campaign that we introduce them in. A second thing that Matt made me think of is we have a PDF of the Brightsword role-playing game for the 1.1 level beta. That will be, the intent is that's the last time that we do a PDF of Brightsword. Brightsword will be resident at the Brightsword player level or the Bladesworn level and above in World Anvil. So you're going to also start seeing the Brightsword rules migrate into connected World Anvil articles that will allow you to play the game and reference those rules directly entirely online. So those are two things that I would answer that question with, in addition to what Matt said. I'm just tooling around the the World Anvil to show off some other functionality. All the free blade scenarios are loaded in here as we make new ones. There'll be another way to find them besides the living rule book. And if, like in the case of a couple scenarios in Tomb of Akkad, it directs you to play the scenario out with those threats using this particular free blade scenario, the Warrior's Tomb or um, looting spree or treasure hunt. We'll send you over directly to the World Anvil platform. Leave you with Matt Gooch. Turn it over to you to